What's up, fam?
What's up, family? Welcome back.
BYOB.
Bring Your Own Bible podcast, where we believe the Bible to be basic instructions before leaving Earth.
That's it. We're ready to go. And the
you didn't do your
Bible is
principles.
a book of prophecies, policies, promises, and principles that we must live our life by.
I think I kind of got you cut off guard a little bit there.
You threw my guard.
Oh my goodness! All right, so take a moment, if you will, if you could like and share this video. I do believe that it's going to help somebody today. I'm super excited about the topic of discussion for today.
Yeah,
I feel like it was really good. And I'm gonna be honest here. At first, the man said, him being the man, said, "Listen, I really want to start BYOB with a study on the purpose-driven life." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Oh, nobody want to go through the purpose-driven life." Right. And then when I realized we had already started, and I realized it was 41 chapters, I was like, "Ooh, that's a long time." It's so much other stuff that I want to talk about. And then as we were going through, and I was able to take those 41 chapters and kind of divide them up into, I guess you would say, domains, because like we said on last week, chapters 1 through 6 were all about your relationship with God and the worship, and that being our purpose. That's the purpose of our life, is to be in relationship with Him and to worship, so we talked about different ways we can worship. This week we get to do a different domain. Yeah. So this week we are looking at chapter 7 through 13. And in chapter 7 through 13, it talks about ministry. And as I was reading, I was like, ministry, well, we know ministry. How does that really fit into my purpose? Because I know so many people who are a part of ministries, and they go to church, they worship, they leave.
Right.
Like,
and what do that even mean? Because the word is locked in with just church. So you use word like ministry, or you use word like
we use them interchangeably.
Right. So when that stuff get tied in, well, I go on Sundays, but what is that? But then when you start unpacking it, some of the stuff we did this weekend, and we'll get into that, it shows that it's not just about you attending some service or going into a place, but then when you realize the scripture said the ecclesia, it means the body of Christ. That's us. So ministry really take place Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday, you're just worshiping with other ministries in one central location, which is what we call church. Yeah. So if you look at it like that, it'll change the narrative versus I just checked the block because I attend service.
Yeah. So what I pulled from it was that you have ministry and then you have servanthood. Right. So for me to dive a little deeper and better understand, I was like, well, what is the difference between ministry and servanthood? So like for me, when I'm really trying to understand so I can explain or teach to my students or whatever I'm doing, I have to go and define even the most simplest of things. I have to go and define it. So that is what I did. I went because I wanted to understand the difference between ministry and servanthood, because you have so many people that are a part of ministry. You can be a part of the Ursula's ministry, and you can be a part of a ministry and different little things that are going on, but the serving part you may not really be doing. So I want to kind of dive into that a little bit.
Take us to school.
So in chapter 7 through 13, it focuses on us serving others and fulfilling God's mission. It talks about how we can minister to others by using the gifts and talents that we already have. Now, mind you, we had already said that we wanted to also target the unbeliever, those who are yet to come into the knowledge of who Christ is and their purpose in Him, right? So as an unbeliever, how do I do ministry or servanthood? Well, it says you don't even realize you're ministering to others using the gifts and talents you already have. And I keep going to laundry. I do not know why. Maybe we need to start a business in that.
That's what you got on.
Yeah, that's apparently in my spirit. But anywho, the simplest thing as folding clothes or taking care of home, mowing a lawn, cooking a meal, the way you do hair, the way you style yourself, the way you interact with people. That's a gift because everybody can't do it. Everybody doesn't have a personality.
Acts of service. I think I told you that I was gonna mention, and we'll get into it with the servanthood. But the guy yesterday with the waitress, the waiter that we had yesterday, dude was taking the words out of your mouth. Like when you got ready to say, no, this.
I have never had that before.
Like, and then when you do this. When you go, I like, God, listen. When I say took it to the next level, and then it makes giving easier, it almost had us kind of like the $20 tip. It's like, man, is that even enough for the experience? Yeah. But once again, who would think a waiter is in this ministry? And what I mean by that, just service in general, just his gift to be able to sense what a person needs. He finishing your statement. He already know what you need to order just by your comments. He reading you and knowing what he needs to do. That's somebody in their ministry flowing and doing it like his name. And plus it's multiple times.
He is in his lane.
Right.
He was in his lane doing his thing. Right. And he gave it his all because he wanted to present himself in the spirit of excellence. He wanted people to know he took pride in what he did. Yeah. Did he say all of that? Nope. But that's the vibe that I got based off of the service he provided.
Yeah. Basically, you get to a place you ask somebody, hey, what would try? I don't know. I ain't had it all.
Yeah, I haven't tried that. The only thing I eat is this right here. Or they never come and check on you.
This man was just like he was entertaining with it. Like, God, how you know?
Not in an overbearing way though. He wasn't like really at the table, but it was almost like he was reading our minds, like the way we order food and say we want this or we like this. He was already on it.
Right. And just think anybody that's in their profession, because you got an occupation, your vocation, occupation, what God called you to do or what you do on your own. As it relates to what you do to sustain and survive, just once you get in that zone and you're in your ministry, you do it careless or carefree. What somebody else say that deem hard, how could you do 18 hours, 16 hours, 12-hour shift? To you, it's nothing because you're in your element. Yeah. And then also you can tell when you're not, because it's like, I don't know how much longer I keep this up. I'm about to.
You be scatterbrained, just be what y'all say, toe up.
Dude, like, we had a brother the other night we were dealing with at 8 o'clock. He done. It don't matter what you said, what you did. His eyes got tight. He didn't care what they said. Listen, I'm done. And he notified you before the 8 because he said he was gonna be done.
Yeah, he said it. Yeah. But look, for those who know me, I be done with him. But I did good. I stayed up, and so I understood how he felt. All right, so. In focusing on chapter 7 through 10, in the book, is it Dr. Warren says that we are called to serve others as an expression of our love for God. Yeah. And that kind of resonated with me because I was like we get in a ministry and we do little things. But we don't, at least I didn't. And you used to tell me this all the time. And I'm like, child, please. You like, well, it's just as unto God, as unto God. And I'm like, well, nah, you ain't got to let people do that. And you ain't got to do all that. Yeah. It don't take all of that. But as unto God is something you would keep repeating. Yeah. But the way he's saying it, it's an expression of my love to God. So even sometimes if I'm tired, I don't feel like it, I don't understand. I'm learning that it's for the greater cause. Right. And even if the personality or the person who's giving the directives, I'm not gelling with that person or I don't agree. If I'm under their leadership, then I can still render the service as unto God. Like when you give to a prophet, right? You receive a reward. So what's the difference in that situation? Yeah. So I think that when we think about us serving in ministry and under leadership, even in the secular world, do it as unto God because it is a way of serving.
Yeah.
So let's look at the similarities and differences between ministry and servanthood, because that's kind of where I wanted to dive.
Yeah.
Ministry and servanthood, mind you, are deeply connected. They are almost interchangeable, but there are some differences between them. Both do involve serving others, but they come from different angles, different perspectives. So I kind of broke it down into like 3 little domains so that we can talk about each. Number 1 is the purpose of ministry. The purpose of ministry is typically seen as a work or service for the sake of others, oftentimes in a religious arena. And it's about meeting the needs of others whenever there's physical, emotional, or spiritual need. But servanthood is the attitude or the position of being a servant. It's focusing on humbling yourself. It's focused on putting others first, a selflessness.
True.
I think that it's difficult sometimes for us to put others before ourselves because we're thinking about our own needs and not how, if I help this brother or this sister in their time of need, then my need is already met. Even though it hasn't manifested quite yet, it's already met, because you don't even have to be spiritual in this. The law of reciprocity.
Right.
Give and it shall be given unto you.
True.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Like, so if we thought like that,
it would change the narrative.
Then maybe it would change the narrative, and we would become we would develop more of a servant's heart, and not just, I'm just doing it because it's part of the ministry. I'm just holding the door because I'm an usher, or I'm just cleaning the bathroom because it got to get done. But it's the attitude
behind what you're doing
and the position of your heart. Servanthood is about your heart's position. But the ministry is about, literally, the way that I'm seeing it in my head, it's about a physical position. I'm here to serve in this capacity. And your heart don't necessarily have to be involved as long as your body is there to perform the work.
Almost like a transaction.
Yeah, exactly.
I came Sunday morning, I'm going to be here for the next 2-3 hours, I'm in and out. Versus servanthood, don't matter. If I had to stay over, hang over, whatever, I'm there to see it happen. Somebody said, well, they didn't say it, they quoted the scripture and they kind of unpacked it this weekend. They said when disciples were asking Jesus commandments, and I'm paraphrasing, Jesus said, even if you throw everything away, it's 2 things that's important, and one above the other one. The first one is love thy God with all thy heart. So that's the first thing. Then the number 2 is said, love thy neighbor as thyself. And so back to what you were saying, we say the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated or whatever. If you could start with self and deal with yourself, unpack that, what do they actually mean? Loving myself don't mean being selfish. Loving myself meaning taking the time to find myself, which the whole word this weekend has been why. And I think you should apply that to every area of your life. Why? Why am I like this? Why do I desire this? Why do I perform like this? And once you get to the basis of that, it's easy for me to help you or see you because I see myself. But a lot of people are polluted when it comes to seeing others, or they're blinded because they never really took a good look at yourself. We're talking about unpacking, assessing who you are. Like once I figure that stuff out, boom, I know I can move different now. Like, to be honest with yourself and with your life. This was crazy too. I can tie this into it. It'll go back to worship too, because the scriptures say they that worship must be worshiped in spirit and truth. You can't truthfully or honestly worship God until you're truthful with yourself. What he's saying is, I don't even receive that until you get honest. And that's why you see people crying and broken. And when they with a worship versus just praising, you just praise the Lord, because the criteria to praise is just to have breath. So if I'm breathing, I can give him praise. But to worship, I got to be truthful. So that means I got to take out the facade and be honest before him when I lift them hands. So it's a little bit different. And that plays into our servanthood, how we worship, how we work as well.
Now, I will say this. Everything that he talks about in the book is all tied together. He's breaking it down in different domains so that people can understand. each different domain. Like understand what worship truly is,
Right.
understand what ministry is. Now, I've added the servanthood because in there he talked about having a servant heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me think, well, in ministry, what do? We serve others. So what is the difference between the servanthood and, working in ministry? Which is why I wanted to point out that ministry, like you said, it could be more or less considered a transaction. It's the things you do. Does your leader want you to do it with the servant's heart?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure. I mean, because it draws people with love and kindness. That's how you draw people. So if you're doing it from a loving place with a servant's heart, it's going to draw people to the ministry, not just to the ministry you're working, but the ministry in whole. And then you'll keep replicating that. So who doesn't want that? I think it's a matter of being able to decipher the difference between the two and just really have some training on it, like real life practical things and training.
Going through them steps. That's good.
All right. So that's the purpose of ministry. And the purpose of ministry and servanthood, or the differences between the two on that. But then I wanted to understand the role, and the role of ministry is specific, right? Like ministry itself can be very specific. Like your ministry, you have been called to be a pastor, or someone can be called to be an apostle or teacher. Those are very specific roles or specific identities within a particular group or mission. But when we're talking about servanthood, it's not a role.
Yeah, not the same.
It's the posture of your heart. And that seems so simple, but it is so deep.
Right.
And it made me reevaluate myself and how I have served in ministry. There have been times, especially if we had to do like a late service, because my social clock really does. By 7 p.m., it starts to kind of dwindle down. By 8, I have tapped out. 9, I'm home. So I had to think about, in those moments, what could I have done better? And if I was serving with a servant's heart during those times, then maybe it would have given me the energy to push forward and keep giving my best until it was time to go home. I don't know. But it did make me have a self-analysis. Now, mind y'all, I do a self-analysis pretty much on a daily. I leave work, I'm in the car, I'm just thinking about, what did I do? What did I say? What could I have done better? I saw this and I was like, dang, man, it kind of makes you reevaluate yourself, your ministry, your gift, what you have done, and what you should be doing or need to do moving forward. So ministry, a specific calling. Servanthood is the posture of your heart. It's a mindset that everybody can adopt. You can adopt it, because that's something you really do have to kind of train yourself into doing.
Prepare yourself. And get in a place, because it's cutting your flesh.
Yeah, for sure.
Tell your flesh, this is what I'm been assigned to do, and it's spiritual. So when you talk about servanthood, you're humbling yourself, and that's cutting yourself to be.
That's going to be hard for a lot of people to humble themselves.
Yeah, that's hard. Anybody that's going to fight through it. So I share right there, when you talking about that humble, I think I had pointed out, I was just sharing and tell you what Matthew's 23:11 said, the greatest among you is a servant. Then I'm paraphrasing, but it said, them that try to exalt themselves shall be humble. So you could try, but he'll humble you just on the attitude.
So humble gonna come in one way or the other. You gotta do it yourself, or I do it for you.
Look, one of my instructors, you say it like this: either you gonna hear me or you gonna feel me. You gonna hear the word or you gonna feel it. It's gonna affect you either way, and whether you acknowledge it or not. His word is real, and that's why I tell people, like, once you learn it, if you notice that, you even see it on your job and stuff. Sometimes the greatest person on your job is not the supervisor. It's the person that everybody say, she should be the supervisor, or man, he really should be the supervisor, and maybe don't have the credentials, or maybe resume don't line up, or whatever you have going on there that's blocking it. But they see it because that person really do have a servant heart. They take the time, and then they know what they're doing. They're skilled in that area. And that's how you see. Then you become great because those people come to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the supervisor. They walking past them and asking you the question. Well, what I want to know, can you look at this for me? And that's crazy because that person become a servant in the base.
Yeah.
God elevate them. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's been so many times where a person could just be serving, like really a real servant, person with a servant's heart, quite evident. And people can't put their mouth on what it is. They'll say, "Oh, it's an anointing on them. Oh, they was in the anointing today. Holy Spirit was on them today." When they're just operating with with their heart postured in the right place, like right. Come on now.
Yeah, God.
So we keep referencing back to our experience this weekend. And this weekend we went to a training for church planners and
in Houston, Texas.
Yeah. So one of the first things we encountered when we got there, we get to the facility, nice young man and his wife, they are outside the doors greeting, and they are just friendly. So our personality types, we're just as friendly. We're talking it up with them and like learning how to pronounce names and all of that. We get into the meeting room after everyone has arrived, and the one who we thought was the boss or the head person says, "Oh yeah, and here's my boss right here." And we look, and I was like,
"That's the person at the door." Yeah.
The one who is serving is the boss, right?
The greatest among you.
The greatest among you is the servant. Right. Now, they could have been big bossing and walking around with their briefcase and just had snobbish attitudes. They could have did whatever they wanted, really, because they were the ones in charge. Right. No one knew who they were because they had a heart of serving. They had their heart in a posture of serving, or that's really a form of worship to God, but they wanted to work. They wanted to serve, and they were happy to do so.
Yeah, and I think intentionally, just to meet and greet, because you got to imagine that's the first person we come in contact with, and just to shake hands and talk, look in your eyes, and you don't know no titles, you don't know who's in charge. And just to see your response, just to see, because you're evaluating whether or not you're a leader and what type of leader you are. Because some people bypass them people. And I done seen people at the door, you don't even speak to them. Like,
just walk right past them.
Because to them, people think that somebody irrelevant. And I used to say this all the time. Even the person that was speaking, and my dad said this as well, but you couldn't speak if the mic went on. And then to be honest, the ones that they consider the head, we just talking about in church setting, honestly, if they had to go back there and mess with the mic stuff, they couldn't do it. Like they had to go back there and fix the mic. You couldn't do it. So I'm just saying, just a mindset, or you couldn't set the atmosphere, or somebody overlooking the musician, but at the same time, you can't play.
Exactly.
So it's just the mindset behind it. But it's like that at work too. Some of the things that people overlook. I said, no way. I was talking to some medical staff, and I told them my 2 words are different. If I told you to go and arrest somebody, and I could tell you, because people watch cops and stuff, you know what to say. You got the right to remain silent.
I mess up the Miranda rights.
You can do the Miranda rights, but at the same time, now I say take them to jail. Explain how you do that. I have absolutely no idea.
Sir, ma'am, will you please put your hands in these cuffs?
Please sit in
the back of this car.
Sir, stop running, sir. Sir, please go home. You finna be fired. But in the same,
the cop might be in the back of the car.
I put you back there because one, that's not your grace. Then you talk about personality. You don't want to deal with conflict. That's not your area. And I'm learning that what God called me to do is a little bit different than others. So I stepped to embrace it. But then the same thing, if you put 5,000 word essay in front of me, and you tell me that I had to
the words. What's that movie? Night School with Kevin Hart. Words just be moving.
This next day gonna turn around, the numbers gonna get backwards. I might see elephants running through that thing.
You going to sleep? All of it.
I quit because that's not for me. But then what society have done, box us all in and say this is the lane, this is the path, this is the way. And when you do that, you stop creativity, and then you harm a lot of people that's gifted. And then people that think they got strength, know they got strengths in certain areas, what they do is hide. Because I'm not accepted in this environment. But you got to find your environment. And that's why I think we at now. We find our stride. We in our environment. And I just want to say I could just see the hand of the Lord because we're walking in our grace and everything just clicking. It ain't nothing that we forcing, it's just clicking now. And with that being said, it's clicking. I want to shout out my sister Tammy Landers online. We also have the other four that's here.
Hey,
I want to say thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and share.
Yeah.
Make sure you like, comment, and share. Share this with somebody. Tag somebody. If you're watching us now, just take your cell phone and share that with somebody. Let them know we're live on BYOB. Let's go.
Something that I do not want to fail to say.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times in our community, we think that you have to be in a specific leadership position to do things.
Right.
And I want to make it clear that a specific position of leadership, you don't have to be in that to be a servant.
No.
Everybody should be serving. I wish that everybody had a servant's heart. I wish that everybody could do a self-analysis and reflect on who you are as a person, the things you have done, the things you desire to do, the things you know you're called to do, and see how you're doing those. Am I doing it from a position of worship? Am I doing it as unto God?
No.
You know, or is this personality driven? A lot of the times we do things that are personality driven. Like, and I've heard this analogy a lot where somebody could be saying they're a servant or a minister, right? And I don't know why I'm doing it, but they can just be sitting in the church and, you know, service can be there and they're clapping their hands and they're just physically there. They're not really helping because their heart obviously is not really in it.
Yeah.
Oh, but when the pastor walk in, and
what?
it's a piece of paper.
What? What was that?
A piece of paper could have been on the floor for 15 minutes and they not gonna budge. Yeah. But when the man or woman of God walks into the room, or the boss, like let's just say you at work, it changes.
Teacher room, now the teacher really teaches.
Come on now.
Giving the equation there. Well, when you look at this, the atom is separated. Like, what are you talking about? But it just that in an environment like
personality driven.
See, personality driven. I've seen that in the workforce I am, law enforcement, military. You know, certain people, a certain rank. I didn't see people get cleaned up. You ain't never shaved. I didn't see that uniform. Did you take that to the cleaners?
Baby,
I never saw.
Because they knew a person was coming, and they're trying to impress that person and not impress the person who, or the entity who has created us all. Like and their heart is not in the right place.
Posture. Like I tell somebody, my boots will shine every day. But my captain on the line now, captain last year tell you at the prison, people like, why would you shine your boots at the prison? Ain't no inmates. Man, I'm clean. It ain't got nothing to do with where I'm going. I realize the presentation that I'm trying to present, and then I'm the lowest ranking personnel, but at the time, transitioning, I don't see myself like that. Like I won't be in this position long, and it's just a mindset and a posture to put myself into worship. I'll tell you something that was so impressive this weekend. I see you avoid names, but I'm not.
No, don't be calling people names.
So Pastor Joseph, he was very impressive to me because the guy stood up and he says, hey, he introduced himself very nonchalant. He was like, I'm the person that leads from the back. I'm a leader that leads from the back. I don't have to be seen. I spots the holes and I spots the problem in a situation and I address them. But I can lead from the back. You never had to call my name. I mean, my heart just melt like, oh my goodness. That's who everybody needs. You need that in your life, and you need to be able to move and handle life like that. You need leaders around you that everybody don't have to have the stage, or everybody don't have to be the center of attention. Look how better everything will run if you think everybody took that posture. Make sure every teacher act like their classroom was their own kids, or every officer that dealt with people in the civilian world, that was your mama, your brother, your sister. You see what I'm saying? The mindset. Because
now the heart's involved.
Your heart involved. So it's back to the posture. Every meal that a restaurant made, you fixed it like it was your mama eating it. You see what I'm saying? It'll change that particular narrative. Once again, back to what he told us: love thy neighbor and thyself. And if I was looking at you through the lens that I look at myself, guess what? I'ma always give me grace. It's nothing I'm gonna do that never gonna give me. I always think I deserve grace, just to let you know. So if it's nothing that I can do to make me turn on me, so it should be nothing that you do to make me turn on you. but that's the human side of us. We can love ourselves like that. I don't care what situation we get in, no matter who you are, you never turn on yourself. And that's how it is. That's he telling us, when you love yourself like that, you should have that same agape love for your brothers and sisters, that even though they down bad. That's why when you said forgive 70 times 7, that you do the math, because I think it ended up being 400 or something crazy.
So you got 400 sometimes.
Yeah, but he's telling you, don't even count it. You ought to get in the place that you're looking at them through the lens of yourself. That's why I say when the brother be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual should go and restore such a one, at least thyself. Because he turned around, not only that I'm telling you go to restore him, but when you restore him, you ought to be looking at them through the lens that they could have been me.
Could have been me.
Out there, no shoes.
Come on.
So if that be the case, if I look at you through those lenses, yeah, I'm gonna help you. Yeah, yeah, you got that.
And let's address. Oftentimes people say, "Well, you don't know how many times they done lied, how many times they done hurt me, how many times this." I have felt that way plenty of times. I'm like, listen, I ain't dealing with no lies. They ain't fooling me. I ain't fooling them. I've said that for sure. But now I'm having to look at it like, okay, shoot, when I'm down bad, I'm like, girl, pull yourself together. Like I have conversation with myself. I know when I have done something wrong or said something wrong. And I'm like, dang, girl, you wrong for that. So now I got to backtrack, try to fix it. I've given myself, as you said, grace, right? Why can't we extend that to our brothers and sisters, right?
Yeah. Hands down.
Yeah, because we want the same to be done for us. All right, because we can really stay in this ministry and servanthood thing for a long time. But I've already talked about the purpose, the role. Let's talk about action of ministry.
You got you.
Because this is all stuff that we have to do. True. If it's ministry, there's still an act behind it. If it's servanthood, there's still an act behind it. So action of ministry. Ministry is an organized effort. You can have your bylaws. You can have the protocol, the procedures on when, where, how, why you're going to do something. But servanthood is not about an organized effort. It's about everyday actions. Ministry can seem glamorous to some people. And when the glamour is gone, they gone too.
Because people look at it, especially Sunday morning. People look at that stage and see the glamour behind the stage, but you don't know what all the stuff that come with the stage. That thing will tell marriages, tell homes, kids can hate their parents, people can fall out with their loved ones. So I tell people all the time, that might not be the path you want to take. It's a path of least resistance.
You have to look past what seems to be glamorous because you don't know what's behind the facade. You don't know what's behind the fake smile.
Or everything that you're doing. I've seen people do that about cars. I remember talking to one of my coworkers. I think we were just talking about cars, and the car pulled up, and then the car clean. I'm talking about clean. And me right now, I like the Wraith. It's clean. And I love, it's not too many vehicles that catch my attention. But at the same time, it's a beautiful vehicle. But then look at that note. That's why what comes with it. So just like it's a beautiful situation and you can admire something, you can want something. But I always tell people count up the cost. What's on the back end? Because what we look at what's on the front end. And we do that in relationship. We give people that's attractive. We jump out of there. Hey, just off what we think a person in and the positioning in, you take a job. But I always tell somebody what's the back end. If you want to enjoy this, you want to do this. I was just messing with Trey, our eldest. I said, hey, when you do grown man stuff, you got to deal with grown man consequences. And that's life. That's in every facet that you're in. If you got grown man situation going on, you're going to have to deal with the grown man consequences. That's all life. And I tell people, if you can analyze life like that, it'll put a pause on you before you make a move. Like if I do this, I got to worry about this. And if I worry about this, man, I can just sit down somewhere. That way I ain't got to worry about that stress at all. But what we do out of habit, sometimes just pop up and do something. Yeah, let me go and get that Wraith. Well, when I get that Wraith, 30 days later, I'm going to get that bill. And come with it. So if I can handle the bill, you can handle the Wraith. And that way you can move in life with a different way without the pressure added that we do on a regular basis.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
We talked about ministry being an organized effort, and servanthood is your everyday actions. It's the things that is happening behind the scenes. It's the quiet stuff that people may not know about, but it's getting done.
True.
The stuff that sometimes people don't want to do, but it's getting done. It's not always glamorous. Now, I would say that servanthood can sometimes be glamorous, right?
Yeah.
Say you are an armor bearer and you are armor bearing a big entity, the bishop of your fellowships, let's say. That can be glamorous, right?
Yeah.
Because you're right there on the stage with that person. So you get to, get some remnants of it. You get to share some of that light a little bit. But if you get caught up in that, it's going to mess you up. It changes the posture of your heart because now maybe you get that comparisonitis.
Okay.
Now you start, you're close to an individual. You're close enough to receive some of the glamour, even though it's not all meant for you. But you start comparing yourself to that person. You know some of their secrets, and you might let some slip here and there, or you might use it. You might use it against them to put you in the position so that you can get the glamour. See how your heart just changed real quick?
Yeah, because of where you are. And
so you can't get caught up in this stuff.
That's why they jokingly say Satan was over worship, which you don't have really too much context in the scripture of that, but just what the theologians and people argue about that, because angels worshiping God, he felt that worship and he wanted it. Yeah. So then he says stuff like, I will ascend to the high. And so that means he began side himself because
I will extend to the high and got sent to the low.
Because what it is, he got in the presence of that, back what you said, that light, and getting that state, sometimes that attention go. But I'm gonna say this too, twofold with this, because humble yourself. Don't let the spirit of Absalom, because that's the same spirit he wanted to kill his daddy for his spot. Now you tripping. Because what's crazy is you got it anyway. When you got the spot, it's just a matter of time. Your daddy gonna transition. When he transition, you got it anyway. You're gonna rush the process and get them out anyway, just because you got that spirit. So you got to be careful when it comes to that, because you see that in the workplace, you see that in the ministry, you see that all over. But the second thing I gotta say too, don't ever devalue yourself either. Because some people have the mindset that humble mean I gotta devalue myself. Or me being a servant mean I devalue my servant. Nah, that don't mean that. I still understand I bring value to the table. I'm going to respect you just like I want you to respect the servanthood that I'm bringing to the table. It don't mean I have to take abuse. Because that's what people get in their mindset. Oh, man, you'll let somebody do you like this, talk to you crazy. No. If I'm serving, it's a privilege for me to serve.
Yeah.
And so it's a privilege for me to serve.
You have to see it that way.
It's an honorable thing. Yeah. And then you add value to that. When I served the military, that wasn't you don't take that for granted. People,
I took pride in the work that I did.
Let's go.
Come on,
veteran. Come on, veteran. Come on, veteran. But the service is the active service. And because of that, people show respect. People show honor. Now, I got to admit, I never seen it like it is in Texas. Texas love their veterans. Everybody show love to them because they understand the service, because they said those people are willing to sacrifice their life. You part of
put others before themselves.
The 1% of the country, really less than 1% now of the country, that's willing to put your life on the line. Because when you sign that contract, you're signing your life away for however many years they is. Shout out to Rasmus Basin the Fourth. Signing out, when you sign that paper, you're saying I'm willing to trade my life for the freedom and safety of others. That's a great sacrifice. And everything that come behind that, that's why when people start talking, veterans, they get discount, this, that. Hey, be quiet. If you ain't willing to do the ultimate thing, which is your life, you trade that in for however many years you do, year, 9 months, whatever it is. If you sign it down the line, I respect you to the T, because you were willing to risk everything just for that moment. Now, that's totally different. So, mindset, value yourself.
I do want to point out that I'm not trying to minimize ministry. I want to clearly point out the difference between ministry and servanthood, so that when we're in ministry, people see the servant's heart.
Yeah.
Because they can almost be used interchangeably. However, like we've already said, sometimes when people are in ministry, you just get in a habit and you're doing just because. You're doing because of a personality. You're doing because maybe somebody told you this is what you're supposed to do, or because you feel like it's an honorable thing to do and you just want to make God smile. That's cool. That's nice. That's sweet. But where's your heart in all of that? Because people can feel it. People can tell. Your pastor, more likely than not, or let's say your music minister, those are the two biggest things that can get someone's attention, right?
Yeah.
They'll come to your church. They'll be like, oh my gosh, that choir was good. Or, oh my gosh, that man of God, that woman of God spoke with such elegance. They talked to me. I felt it, right? You are crazy, man. Stop. But that happens sometimes. But what's going to keep those people there? Because sometimes the choir going to be off. They're not going to sound good every Sunday. Somebody might get the mic that Sunday and sound like cats scratching a chalkboard or something. It happens, right? Sometimes the preacher is not going to be feeling their best, but they have no other choice because it's their ministry. So what do you do on those days when you feel like things were kind of off? What is going to be the thing that attracts people, keeps people, or pull people in? It's going to have to be the servants, right? A lot of times we let the weather dictate how we feel. If it's rainy and gloomy outside, even at work, we get into the facility and we just like, oh, I don't know what it is. I just not feeling it today. And then that becomes viral. It spreads like wildfire. And then the whole atmosphere for the day is just kind of a downer. But you need that person like, okay, it's raining outside, but y'all, look, it's a good day to be alive. We on top of the dirt. It's not on top of us. Like, you need that person who is just rallying people because it's in their heart and they want to see people do good. I want to see people enjoy the service. I want to see people feel the presence of God. So I'm using the gift and talent I already have, which may be rallying people to help edify and uplift.
Yeah, somebody used to say all the time, it's a great day to be an officer. Now, I used to get on people's nerves. And Land know him too, because this one made me think about Land, because, you know, I used to say this every morning. Everybody, hey, it's a great day to be an officer. Man, nobody want to hear it. Because they nobody want to hear it, but just because of the tension and stuff that was going on. But I used to say that every day. And I got this from a drill instructor. I'm talking about early on, probably my early 20s. He said, false motivation is better than no motivation. Okay, false motivation is better than no motivation. I would rather you to fake it.
Fake it till you make it.
Till you make it. And then biblical people, we church people, we like to say faith it till you make it. But the reality is it's saying what you putting out there. And then I notice when I take that posture, it'll have somebody laughing because I said it, but then it'll break the ice in the room. But then also it'll put you in that mindset. Well, why does he keep saying that every day? Why is every day a great day to be? It can't be. He got to be having a bad day. I could be having a bad day, but I'm going to keep going because I understand why. My dad do that, winning in spite of. He going to hit you with that regardless. Okay, come on now. But it's every time because if I consistently stay right there, I can't help but to change. My mindset change. It didn't affect other people till I already know it's winning in spite of till they begin to say it become annoying. But
people
what you're
doing
saying. But what you're doing is you're literally changing the environment because you constant. It's just the consistency behind what you speak. Plus, we understand what the words say. The power of life and death is in the tongue. Yeah. And they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. So what you're saying is you're going to eventually eat those fruits. So if you constantly saying you're going to win, guess what you're going to end up biting and chewing on? Winning. Yeah, I keep saying that today a great day. Guess what we're going to end up having? You're going to have some great days because of the mindset shifting. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Excuse me. In order to renew my mind, I need work.
Yeah. Get you a little sip,
the word
friend.
Talking to me. The word trying to come out in.
Little sip, devil. Okay. So I want to kind of move into how we posture our heart. I always have to define what something is first. Okay. So what is ministry? What is servanthood? What's the difference between the two? Okay, servanthood is about posturing my heart. So how do I get in the posture of servanthood? So don't forget, ministry can be viewed as an outward expression of servanthood. But you want to remember that servanthood is about your attitude. It's about your approach behind your work. It's about your heart. So how do I posture my heart for servanthood? I laugh at you. Now you trying to get my tongue. Let's go. And we have already said it, but we haven't directly said to posture your heart for servanthood. You have to cultivate a humbling, loving mindset where you focus on others. You said earlier that you have to humble yourself. You can't be the one who wants to be in the lights. Don't walk into the lights, Caroline. Why did she say that? There might be some destruction there in that light. But in order to posture yourself for servanthood, make sure that your heart is in the right place. The first thing you're going to have to do, baby, you got to embrace the humility. That's going to be number one. I mean, bear hug that thing. Wear it like a cloak. Because when you humble yourself, you don't give the enemy room to play with your mind and with the as it relates to comparisonitis or the glamour of things. And you keep yourself in a position where your heart is pure. And I'm not doing this for a person or because of a person or for attention or money for that matter, but I'm doing it, like you said, as unto God. So change your mindset. Embrace and then the humility. Let go of pride.
I try to add a little balance to it too, because the mindset is if somebody be humble. Now my mama like to use it all the time, especially if it's like more of I say beta male instead of alpha male mind. Oh, he just humble, man. He humble. Yeah, because that's her way of saying you kind of soft a little bit.
At least she say weak back jelly back.
Weak back jelly back. That's what it's gonna lead to. But the mindset behind that is that because a person humble, that they're weak. But actually being humble is power under control. Being humble is
letting go of pride.
I know I can slap you, but I'm choosing not to. Like I know I can overpower you if I want to, but it's me being humble enough to let you slide. I let you live on it. You cut me off, I can really clown you out here in these streets, but I'm letting you slide.
Ooh, thank you.
That humbleness don't mean that I'm weak. It means I got power under control. And remember I told you the difference between our profession, I'm in law enforcement, and criminals, it's just control. That person is just as crazy, just as willing to do the craziest thing to get something done. It's just under control. You know what I said? Well, somebody say, well, why would you say that? If a person's speeding and they going 120, what the police got to do to catch somebody going 120?
You got to speed too.
I got to be willing to go 130. And I'm willing to do that. So what they tell you, I'm willing to do it as long as he going 120. When he stop going 120, I got that much control that I'm going to stop. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference between law enforcement and somebody.
Criminals.
Well, we say don't even criminal when you advance to the level of convict. Convict is a person that have chosen a life of crime. That's what they're going to do for the rest of their life, just like somebody in law enforcement. That's what we say. That's a veteran in the game versus somebody that just, you know, you ran the stop sign or when you got pulled over yesterday.
Boy, stop. Stop. I did not get pulled over.
Video coming later.
Please don't. We ain't got all day. Number one, you're going to have to let go of pride. A lot of the times what I have noticed when people are prideful, the whole thing is, of course, they want to be in the light. They want to be seen. They want glamour. But they got to prove that they better than you. Why we can't just be better together? Why we can't just do this thing together? Why do I have to be the little I and you be the big one? Like, it doesn't have to be that way. We're on a journey together, although we have different purposes. We're still on a journey together. So let go of the pride and the mindset of I can do that better than her.
Like we had Trayvon this weekend.
Lord have mercy.
Hey, I'm talking about in a matter of hours. We can't get no detail, but I ain't never seen nobody in a matter of hours transition from one character.
Baby,
this person got multiple personalities.
I gave him a diagnosis seriously because it was a bit much.
I'm talking about a dude transition, and it was based off the mood of the room. I didn't catch it at first. She caught it and was just saying this individual.
But I couldn't believe you put that performance on like that.
Preferred to be associated with a group that he wasn't really a part of. And this man literally changed his whole personality and everything in a matter of hours.
He flipped the script on us. 1 minute, he was humble and meek and willing to serve.
Like your
he
heart
loved the Lord and God's people. The next minute, he was like, what's up, G? Like, hey, open up your bag. And I was like,
I'm talking about it literally changed everything.
You see how you chased that squirrel and made me run behind you?
It's worth the chase, because people can do that on you. People can put on a facade and it can be a shell of who they really are on the inside. That's why you got to pray for discerning of the spirit.
Yep.
So you better discern when certain people being real and fake and honest. Once again, lead us back. I'm back on track. My squirrel sometimes my squirrel come back to the tree. We back in the tree. So that's why you got to use discernment spirit to know when somebody truthful, because they that worship must worship in spirit and truth. And God only received it when you become honest. And when we're living a facade life, when we're not being humble like we should, we're trying to puff ourselves up. Bob already said, he that exalts himself, he can be made a base. He gonna make you humble. He can't receive it. So we got to be truthful with it.
Be humble. Okay. All right. So number one, being humble. We have about 10 minutes left, right? Number two, you have to shift your mindset from a selfish mindset to a selflessness mindset. The shift from what can I get to what can I give? Right? What can they do for me to what can I do for them, or what can be done? You got to shift your mindset. And I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but if you write it on a piece of paper and put it in front of the mirror, or put it on your dashboard or something, somewhere, the refrigerator, somewhere where you're going to go a lot daily, and you see it daily. Remind yourself to shift my focus from what can I get to what can I give today? Because in your giving, you'll get it back. It might not be the same day. It might not be that week or that month, but you will get it back. Will it be the exact same way you gave it? No. Hopefully it's a 100-fold return, but you'll get it back. Okay? Practice emptying yourself daily. Empty yourself of the selfish ways and focus on what can I do today to give? What can I do today to help somebody come into the knowledge of Christ, or help somebody overcome? Like, what can I give today? Okay. Also, you're going to have compassion. We've talked about extending grace to others. We extend it to ourselves all the time. Daily. If I am going to love my neighbor like I love myself, I'm going to have to extend grace more than 3 times. Okay. Because people are going to mess up just like we mess up. You have to, I've been teaching my kids about empathy. You're going to have to empathize with others, feel their pain and feel their joy and their struggles. You know what it's like to be without. You know what it's like to not have a partner or a companion or family or support or whatever, money, all the things. You know what that feels like. So when you see somebody else going through, empathize with them. Show empathy. All right. Not just the good, but you can do the bad too. You know what it's like to feel joy and struggle and all the things. And then I think the last thing I want to leave us with, well, maybe not the last, but because it's so much and I'm trying to stay within our parameters of time. You're going to have to serve without expectations. That's a part of not desiring the spotlight always shining on you. Do things quietly. What you do in secret, he gonna bless you openly, eventually. But you shouldn't do it with the hope and desire that, okay, if I do this. I mean, because remember, he knows your heart. We're talking about having a heart in the posture of our heart.
Remember, he said you receive your reward then. You're doing it in front of man to get that glory or get that attention. That's your reward. That glory and attention you get from man don't compare to what God gonna give you. So I'd rather God give it to me. I don't have to say and tell everything that I do. I allow God to see me working. I'm giving, I'm sharing, I'm supporting, doing my part, and I'm watching God get an increase on those back end of stuff that was done in the private. He's rewarding me in the public. So some of the stuff that people shouting out, giving us kudos to now, I'm just looking like you don't see the 20 years of the back end, like the struggle behind how we even got there. But
you don't know my story.
Oh, man, come on, they just told us
all the things that I've been through.
You need a story, bro. You need a story. We got one. So in order to get to that point, people looking at it now, but you don't even know how we arrive here to even receive those.
Or anybody for that matter.
Yeah, and that's for anybody. And so that's what you honor. When God starts blessing, it will be done publicly.
Right. So what did I say? Serve without expectations. I think the old people used to say, your actions should speak louder than your words. Like when we serving with expectations, for the most part, we're making it known. I want. I need. Gotta have. Yeah. But your actions are gonna have to speak louder than your words. You're gonna have to surrender your will and trust in God's guidance. Yeah. And stay in a posture of worship. Yeah. Because if you're worshiping, your focus and attention is on Him. Yeah. And if my focus and attention is on Him, and I want to reflect that love that I have for Him, yeah. What did He do? What did His Son do? Mm-hmm. He served others. He sacrificed. And sometimes that's going to be the kicker there. Sometimes the way we serve is going to require sacrifice. Mm-hmm. Do you want to sacrifice your money, your time, your energy, all your things? No, I think our human nature, we've been cultivated to just be like, my for and no more. Give me what's mine. But if we're going to have a heart of a servant, yeah. So that ministry can grow, mm-hmm. so that we can disciple people, so that we can pull others into the body. Like, who want to come be a part of your ministry or a part of the body of Christ when it looked like every part hurting? Right. Mm-hmm. The body of Christ. Picture a picture of a body and every joint got arthritis. Some joints amputated, like not even there no more. Who wants to be a part of that?
That's it, open sores.
Ugh, that is so nasty.
Hey, that's how the body messed up right now.
The body is messed up. Yeah. And in order for us to fix that, we're going to have to change our mindset and the posture of our heart. And we're going to have to start doing some service. Right. Not lip service. We got to stop all of this and start letting our actions speak louder than our words. We are out of time, but not out of words or message, like your dad would say. We're going to pick back up with this on next week because we want to talk about servicehood a little bit more, servanthood a little bit more, because y'all, it's really good. It helps you to see from a different perspective how God wants to use us in the gifts and talents we already have, how it's going to glorify Him and edify the body of Christ, and how these things are tools already that are going to disciple others. Mm-hmm. It's going to pull others in. And by the time we get to heaven, when we all see Jesus and He sees our name in the Lamb Book of Life, right, we might get an extra crown or jewel in our hat.
Well done.
Because we have drawn some people.
That's the accolades we looking for. Well done.
Well done.
Well, shout out our sisters and brothers that tuned in and support. Make sure you like and share. I want to shout out my sister Layton. I want to shout out my sister Ree. I want to shout out Dollhouse for tuning in with us live. We appreciate everyone.
We appreciate you guys.
But just supporting. If you see in the bottom lower thirds, we got our Cash Out Impact Community Action Network 365. You can support us. Shout out to all those that have keep giving, consistently giving, supporting us as we get ready to launch what God is calling for us to do and build this out. We desire to bring a professional, proper, weighted view for you to participate with us with podcasts.
That's good. He took his time, y'all. I was going to help you.
We present this on the professional level. And we want to say thank you because you take the time out to support us, liking and sharing, and those that choose to give, we say thank you. We couldn't be here without you. Tune in. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank y'all.
BYOB.
Until then,
we live, leading local. Make sure you like this video, share this video. But most of all, make
live
sure
the
you
principles.
Live these principles that we share today. We love you. Grace and peace.